This is Salvia Officinalis, or garden sage, common sage, or kitchen sage. Lots of different sage names. So this is in the San Francisco Botanical Garden. This was taken at the end of April in 2013. We are having an unusually warm April, and I'm not sure if they typically bloom this early, but two things struck me. I've never seen this plant blooming like this before and never seen such a large mature stand of it, so I thought it was noteworthy and wanted to share this with you. So I was very impressed by this bloom. I'm a landscape architect who loves plants in plant design, and this to me by any standard is an impressive blooming plant, whether it's a culinary sage or not. And there are the leaves, by the way, used for cooking. So let's get into the other things that we need to know about this plant besides those beautiful flowers. It's got a nice low form. It's 1 to 2 feet high, and it's about 2 to 3 feet wide. And as I said, this is growing in the San Francisco Botanical Gardens. Their soil is almost straight sand. It's a very sandy soil. These are old sand dunes, and that's part of what this plant likes. It really likes good drainage. So this can be susceptible to crown rot if you don't have good drainage for it. A lot of salvias like good drainage, by the way, but this one in particular really needs that to be happy. And I've seen it grown in garden boxes where it's raised, and that was getting the better drainage that way, but that's something to know. These are drought resistant. If you're going to use them as a landscape plant as opposed to as a culinary thing, then they're nice to know that way. Also, deer do not eat them. The foliage is so aromatic, that's one of the reasons deer leave the sage family alone pretty much. And in terms of sun, they can handle full sun. I have a client who had this I saw last week, and she's in Danville where temperatures in the summer 90 to 110 degrees and very hot and very low humidity, and hers was in full sun and was doing fine. So it can take a lot of heat and sun and does well that way. I'm about to show you a variety called Serena, and it's a variegated form. So when that goes by here in just a moment, I'm not sure about the bloom on Serena, but this nice golden green variegated foliage is attractive. So there you go. So as a landscape feature, very nice one, kind of yellowy green and splotches of darker green in the middle of the leaf. Hummingbirds like this one a lot with those strong blooms, and the bloom is a spring to early summer occurrence, so that's when to expect the bloom. And I think that's about what I can tell you about Salvia officinalis, kitchen sage, garden sage, common sage. Excellent low perennial plant. And by the way, it says in the book that these every 3 to 4 years, sometimes you need to replace them. One of the kind of a shorter lived perennial like some of the lavenders, so be aware of that. Don't get too crazy with it in large massing because it may be more of a headache long term. Also, deadheading. You will need to deadhead these flowers, so it does have some maintenance associated with it. Oh, and one last thing, hardiness. Says it's hardy down to -20 Fahrenheit, so very hardy. Presuming when it gets that cold, this probably dies to the ground and then comes back during the spring. That is Salvia officinalis, kitchen sage, garden sage, common sage. Enjoy.